See, the truth is, true lead generation and marketing is not about making the consumer make a quick decision when they're looking at buying or selling a product. And I think one of the things that we often do, and one of the mistakes that we make, is we rush the process of the consumer making that buying decision. Our job as sales professionals, as real estate agents, is to figure out what is holding that consumer back from making a decision. True sales professionals, true real estate agents are able to overcome the objections through conversations, through figuring out what is holding them back. Apple has become the world's first $3 trillion market value company, and there's something that we can learn from them and their marketing. I've spent tens of millions of dollars across multiple advertising platforms over the last couple of years, and a few things have become abundantly clear to me. But one of the most valuable things I've learned recently around marketing was actually through a MacBook Air purchase that I've been delaying over the last couple of years. And I want to walk you through the consumer lessons that I learned through my own journey of buying this laptop and making the decision over a 2-year window. See, the truth is, true lead generation and marketing is not about making the consumer make a quick decision when they're looking at buying or selling a product. And I think one of the things that we often do, and one of the mistakes that we make, is we rush the process of the consumer making that buying decision. Like, it took me 2 years to buy a laptop, and I run a marketing agency. I rely on my MacBook and I rely on this for my livelihood. But the contemplation of actually making the buying decision was tough because I kept saying to myself, well, I don't really need a new laptop. My laptop does technically work. And I didn't. And while I was in pain, it was hard for me to make the buying decision. Like literally, I could not use my laptop without it being physically plugged in. So when I was with Vikram, I was with other friends at coffee shops, I had to find a place where I could plug in my laptop because I couldn't use it without it being plugged in. So see, I was in pain and I had a problem. I just didn't know how to part ways with the money, even though I had the money, in order to actually buy a new laptop. And this was simply a $2,500 purchase, not a big, massive purchase. See, the lesson I learned here is everyone buys at a different pace. And our job as sales professionals, as real estate agents, is to figure out what is holding that consumer back from making a decision. True sales professionals, true real estate agents are able to overcome the objections through conversations, through figuring out what is holding them back. And over the last couple of years, I've spent time in the Apple stores, but no one was able to dive into the emotional core of why I wasn't actually making a buying decision. Had I had sat in front of somebody who had asked me the right questions, I probably would have bought 2 years ago. And this is something, I'm learning through our marketing process, through telling stories. If you follow at all my email newsletter, I'm telling more stories about even this Apple story. I'm telling more stories about how I just landed in Punta Cana. I'm telling stories in a way that presents the story, presents the lesson, and then presents the offer at the end. It's one of the best frameworks that you can use when you're trying to communicate with somebody via marketing. But when you actually get that conversation to speak with them, we need to stop talking about features and benefits. We need to get to the root cause of the emotion. So many people try to sell based on logic, and that's what these Apple representatives did. They tried to sell me on logic, but this wasn't a logical decision. This was an emotional decision. And had they uncovered my fears and had they uncovered what was making me insecure about this purchase, I probably would have purchased 2 years ago. See, what encouraged my decision to eventually buy an Apple was the consistent and persistent communication with the brand. Everywhere you go online, you see Apple products, continuous messaging through storytelling, because consistent communication and storytelling is the heartbeat of an effective lead generation and lead nurture that will eventually lead to conversion. See, building relationships take time. All effective relationships require us to storytell. And that's why I gift you to that framework of like, how do we tell a story? How do we present a lesson? And then we push our offer at the end. That's how we sell things. That's how we get people to take action. Like the other day, I told a story about how I went to Disneyland and how we bought the Fast Pass. And had I had not bought the Fast Pass, we would eventually had to come back. So that $100 saved me $1,800 in the future, because when you add up more tickets, you add up another Fast Pass, you add up the hotel, you add up the car rental, it would have been another $1,800 day. But because I bought the Fast Pass, we were able to do both parks in the same day. And I presented an offer at the end where it's like, hey, if you want to fast track your marketing and have that consistent communication, send me an email with the word Disney and I'll reach out with next steps. It's like, Our ability to consistently communicate with the prospect through storytelling is one beautiful way that allows us to have another conversation with the prospect at wherever point of their journey that they're at. But then our jobs as sales professionals and as real estate agent becomes to really uncover what is holding them back from making a buying decision. And our ability to get down to the root cause, the root emotion, is what is going to drive conversion or is going to keep somebody on the sidelines. It's our job to get down to the root emotion. Because like even when I was in the store, the most recent time where I actually made the buying decision, it was the marketing that helped me make the buying decision. It was the branding and the storytelling that helped me make the buying decision. But even when I was in that store, I felt uneasy about the decision. And I felt uneasy about the decision because I had two different directions I could go. I could either buy a new laptop or I could get the battery replaced on my laptop. The battery replacement was about $300 to $400, where buying a new laptop was roughly around $2,000. When I sat and I thought about the decision, that I needed to make in the moment, I was conflicted. I was asking myself in the store, like questions like, do I really need this? Like, why don't I just replace the battery? Like, do I even need to replace the battery? These are all questions that were running through my head and no one was able to uncover them. I had to discover them on my own. And that's how a lot of buyers and sellers are feeling right now. They're feeling the emotion. They're feeling the emotion of buying or selling or investing. There is an emotional response in this market that we have to get down to the root cause of what is either keeping somebody on the sidelines, keeping them in their home, or buying a new property. Because maybe they're in pain. Maybe they're having that conversation right now with themselves. They're saying like, honey, should we stay here and renovate? Or should we upsize into a new home? Should we take equity out of our home and buy an investment property? Or should we just stay where we're currently at and hold on to the equity? Like, these are questions that we as real estate professionals, we as sales professionals need to be able to uncover the true need, the true want, to guide and to advise our clients in the right direction. Had an Apple employee guided me in the right direction 2 years ago, I wouldn't have had the issues I had with my laptop. But because I couldn't come to the conclusion, because it took me 2 years to come to the conclusion that I need a new laptop. And now the laptop that I'm currently using is so much better than the laptop I had before. It's faster. I'm able to get things done quicker. It's increasing my productivity. I'm able to go outside, inside, because before I couldn't. I couldn't grab my laptop and go outside and work because I needed to consistently be plugged in to the outlet in order for the laptop to work. So it made even finding cafes to work at super, super difficult. This is why in our content, it's so important that we tackle objections before they even come up. And specifically when we're in conversation with buyers and sellers and investors, we need to know on a deep level, like, what is keeping them up at night and what is keeping the buyer and seller from making the decision to move. If we could tackle these objections in our content and in our conversation before they come up, we could push people to conversion faster. Our job to advise people towards conversion. Like, true sales professionals advise people towards conversion. Conversion can happen, sure, but your ability to get the client when the client is ready, you're fighting an uphill battle. And the person with the most reviews, the person that has the most reviews or has the largest brand is going to win. The person with the best presentation is going to win the client, which really at the end of the day is only 3% of the marketplace that is going to be actively looking on Zillow, actively looking on realtor.com. That is not where the money is made for a lot of single agents and a lot of agents that are on teams. The money is made in our ability to build relationships, to uncover the true needs and wants of the end consumer, to get them to making a buying decision so that we can educate them, we can market to them, we can brand them throughout the entire customer journey. That's how we create conversion. So like, how practically do we do this? What I would encourage you to do as you're watching this video is to create a Google Doc. When you create that Google Doc, what you're going to do is you're going to write down all the objections you've ever had in the past, and you're going to write overcomes to those objections. And you're going to, if it's interest rates, if it's inventory, if it's inventory, whatever it is, whatever the objection that you're getting today, you're going to seed these through stories. My client had this problem. My client had this problem or this fear. We sat down and we went through X, Y, and Z. We sat down and we went through this method. This was the result. This is how they were feeling. And this is how we were able to get them the result they're looking for. The more that you can do that through storytelling and actually talking to the emotion that the client's feeling, the better results you're going to have in your content, the better results you're going to have in your emails, the better results you're going to have in your conversation. We need to stop solely speaking to the logic, and we need to start speaking to the emotion that the buyer, that the seller, that the consumer is feeling. And this needs to be done in our content, in our emails. It needs to be done in every single aspect of our conversations that we're having on a day in and day out basis. This is the whole reason why we do lifetime nurture for our clients. This is the whole reason we train all of our clients on the 7-figure appointment playbook. We train them on the 7-figure appointment playbook because it gives them the ability to have a real conversation with that lead that lands in their database. For example, we have a client, Daniel, who had somebody in his database for over 36 months. Now this person was in his database for over 36 months with never had a conversation. Now, 36 months in a database, that person, when they're ready, who are they going to go with? Are they going to go with the person that they had a really great conversation with? Or are they going to go that had a really good conversation with? They built a really great relationship. They sat down with them in person. This is how our clients are converting more leads out of their database. And this is why we need to do lifetime nurture. And that's why I gave you that framework earlier on in the video that helps you understand how you can storytell in a way that helps you build the relationship with the client on your email list, with the client via email, with the client via content. The more that we storytelling is the best way to build brand. Storytelling is the best way to get a consumer to understand the lesson you're trying to present to them. Think of some of the greatest communicators in the world, like Jesus, for example. He spoke in parables. He taught to people in stories, and it's through the stories that people understood the lesson. Most people learn better through the stories that we tell and how we relate things back to something that happened to us or something happened for or to our clients. Lifetime nurture is about loving on people until they are ready to make a buying or selling decision. But our marketing and our nurture and our ability to consistently get in front of people through email, through text messages, through content. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to storytelling, and it all comes down to getting out consistently in front of people so that you can have that conversation. But when you have that conversation, it's so important that we don't just speak to the logic. We can't just speak to, hey, it's awesome that you're looking for a 3-bed, 2-bath, $700,000 budget with a big backyard. The question becomes why? The question becomes, why is that important to you? And what is holding you back from making a decision? When we get down to the root cause, that's when conversion happens. The prescription for lead generation, lead nurture, and conversion success has become very abundantly clear to me. Number one, understand and respect your audience's decision-making process. Understand that not everything is logical, and most decisions start with emotion. Everything that we do, if we start with emotion and we start with really understanding our audience on a deep level and their buying process, things become a lot easier. Number two, to really nurture the relationship, we need to communicate with our prospect. We need to communicate with everyone in our database, no matter where they're at in their buying cycle, no matter where they're at in their selling cycle, so that we can have consistent and persistent communication through storytelling, through email storytelling, through video content storytelling. Whatever type of storytelling you're doing, I would encourage you to get consistent with your communication. What does that look like? 2, 3, 4, 5 times a week, we need to get out in front of our database, telling them a story, presenting to them a lesson, and then putting our offer in front of them. And number 3, quality content is something that so many people try to accomplish. What is quality content? Quality content, in my view, is how do we effectively tell a story? How do we effectively present a lesson? And then how do we throw our offer out in front of somebody that allows them to take the step towards their buying journey or towards their selling process that allows them to emotionally internalize their feelings so that they can make a buying or a selling decision. And we need to start marketing to the emotion, not simply the logic. I hope you got a ton of value out of today's episode. If you did, all we ask is you leave a review on iTunes or Spotify. Give us a subscribe if you got a ton of value today. We ask that you share this with a real estate agent that might find this useful so that they can create more conversion through storytelling in their business. It's a lesson I learned through Apple. It's a lesson I wanted to share with you. I hope that you're able to go out there, you're able to tell your story, you're able to tell your client's story so that you can create more conversion no matter where your buyers, your sellers, your investors are at in their process. I'll see you soon.